Welcome. Welcome. Okay, I'm Cynthia Harrison from Rhombus Healing Arts and the Academy of Conscious Evolution. Just in myself. All right. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I made it. Oh, if only you knew. Anyway, Happy New Year. Happy Newness. Okay, so we're on Instagram today. I thought I would say g'day. And what an evening. What a morning. I mean, it's so awesome and so expansive and contractive at the same time, right? So taking a breath to get here, all the technology, all the moving, the ebbing, the flowing. So just a little story. Last night, I always teach from direct experience and try and link in the teachings. We're going to touch on some of the numbers. I don't know how far I'll get or what will actually come out. Some of you that are on the inner circle, we've touched on some of this, but the information doesn't come out the same way, really twice the same, because it's the experience of the information. Okay? So last night, this is a little mystical. So if you're not into, metaphysics and the mystical aspects, entertain yourselves for a moment. I was woken up 3 times. And some of you I let know around all the numbers, right? The 111s and the 101 and the 222s and the 333s and the 4s and the 5s. And it's like these constant. And, we can get into some of you, it's a belief system. Some of you believe in angel numbers. Some of you have different ways of understanding frequency, right? Or information, data. So everything to me is purely information, data. And so I could go into, spirit, or, someone's coming in to tell me something, or what time was it on those sequences that, and yada, 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 right? So who's interested in that stuff? Because, if you're interested, I'll go into it. But if you're not, I'll stay purely to, I guess, something that's a little more significant to everybody, the frequency or vibration of the purity of the numbers, right? So, if you are seeing particular information numerous times, regularly, then we can, and we do have the opportunity. Oh, I'm not recording. Let me just record. There we go. Where was I up to? Got distracted. Okay, the distraction of what's outside of ourselves. Yeah. So we can go, there's something going on, as I am, the world shall be. And I see it in the field. So we can understand it from the field, the mind field, externally, or from our connection with that information, that data internally, inside. There's no real inside outside. But we need language. We need communication. 5. Right? Communication. So let me touch into some of this with you to see what's relevant for you today. So I'll say Happy New Year to many of you, because January, going into January, tends to be, for a particular percentage of the globe, the new year. Some of you, the new year was back a few months ago. And for others of you, it was way back, right? The Chinese New Year, there's, different traditions and whatnot. So paying attention to what that is for you, your belief system. Why is it that you believe January is this next cycle? If you do, right? Culture, tradition, religion, how you were encoded, what you choose. Consciously, you can choose. Are you listening to the cycles of something external like the sun or the moon, the weather, or internally how you feel it? So the last few days I've been saying there's a season shift. And I don't look at the calendar. I have no idea what man says it is, but I've been feeling the last few days the season shift. And actually, as I was trying to get on before, there was an earthquake. So I was shuddering. It's like an earthquake. And in Kona, because I'm in Hawaii, right, big island, in Kona, I saw that there were waves coming over the houses and into the parking lots.
Wow.
Right. There is all sorts of, and today it's very grey and it's raining here, and there's obviously storm fronts around, but I'm not looking necessarily. Do you see where I'm going? Can you hear me? Do you hear yourself? So we get into, I think I named this, often what I name these is not necessarily what they're going to be, because you just have to give it a name, but the essential self, the identity, your identity, right? The last few months I've been talking about the one, soul into the physical body, right? The soul, body. And the existence, the I exist. I wanted to touch on, just to give you, those that might be interested, a little bit of the 2025. So there's so much information, and I'm just going to see what we get through and what's interesting and what comes through me, and share some of the story. But 5, so we're going from 4 to 5, right? 2024 to 2025. Now I'm not going to touch on the lunar calendar or the other calendars in the world today. We're talking about the Gregorian calendar, the Western calendar in the main, from 2024 to 2025, right? The 4 to the 5. So the 5 is a lot of things. Each number is a frequency. It has its information that is, you could say karmic and dharmic. You could say love and fear. You could say yin yang. You could say, there's these aspects of it. And I'm also going to say it's not necessarily even the two, like masculine and feminine. And when we get into the real intimate relationship with what masculine and feminine is. You know, the feminine is a realm. You know, they're realms. And within them really is all things. So, you know, I'm going to try and stay on track. Well, I'm not going to try. We'll just see. So when I speak, often it's challenging because as I say a word, I see all the other perspectives of that word. And so when we're sharing, we're constantly choosing what level of communication. Five is communication. Okay. So 4 to 5 for 2025. I'm going to look at my notes so I try and stay on sequence, but the physical communication realm. So I could go, you know, the 5 is in the center, or you can't see on Insta. The 5 is in the center, right? And we say the 5 is in the center of the 0 of the 10. So 5 is the center of our experience because we are the numbers. Okay. So we have this physical body. Some of you are in Cloud Odyssey, which is around regulating the nervous system, understanding, not through necessarily theory, although we do touch on theory, but it's more of the practical application of what we're talking about here. Identity, the center of the self, or the center of the 0, or the center of the whole, right, is the 5. I asked some of you, particularly those of you in Cloud, I was like, you know, this inquiry into the who are you, but this identity question. Now, it's interesting to go into another, just to jump off to the side for a moment, that Bina in the Sephirot is also seen as the who, right? So in some of the scriptures, when they say the word who, or even me, these are seen as feminine. The 5 in this situation is neither masculine or feminine, yet could be both, like hermaphrodite. But when there's an extension of that, there's no gender. So interesting to think about if you like to think about how the world is going in these gender discourses and discussions, right? The inquiry into gender politics, all of that, right? That we're going into a time from a 4 to 5 where it's the meeting of the masculine and feminine, or the love and the fear, right? So we've got, this is getting messy. Can you see that? Do I need to move the computer a bit? Is that better? Okay. So there's numerous ways to draw this. We could draw it like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the human experience, which is also the survival ego, fear of fear, survival ego. Earth, human, 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 equals the whole 10. Yeah, the human experience. When we get to the 5, there's this crossover. You sort of see where that fits. Some of you have a lot of background in in this work, and some of you may be thinking, what on earth is she talking about? So majority of what I'm talking about today is from my teacher, Shiv. And he is my teacher in the Karam Kriya, right? So how I share it is through my direct experience, my understanding, not just of the teaching, but my experience and how I see, which is 7, 5, 6, 7, right? So can you see that? No, I'm just seeing where you can see on the board 7. So we have where we can see on an angle, or we can raise to be able to see in a 360 dimensional, right? So seeing. So bringing this back to where I started, are you following me? I'm a mystic. I speak in circles, so bear with me. When I started, I said, last night I was woken up 3 times with spirit. When I say with spirit, by spirit, from internal, from external, however you want to look at that, it doesn't matter to me. It's just something happening. And I realized in Hawaii, in the US, it's the 7th today. And how I was seeing, 7 is seeing, and the veils where we're seeing. So if this is human, then when we're going from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, to 9, right, to 10. So as I'm in, you gotta understand, I get shown in these direct ways so that I can not just teach you the theory, but I can also give you the feel of what it is in the real life terms, right? So I'm teaching yesterday to a couple of you. I spoke to a couple of you yesterday, one-to-one, about what was going on in your lives and how those numbers are sort of coming in. And then I go to bed and all of this sort of happens. I wake up and it's 7 and I'm like, oh, there's 7. So the query for you may be, I'm gonna pull it in. I always go broad and I come back in. That's you know, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. So what's the center? And then what's being expanded? Okay. What's at the center? Who am I? Who am I? True identity, Sat Nam. Who am I? For those of you that are students, are you contemplating that? Because shortly we're going to go into our inner circle and we're going to be looking at that in more depth for you individually. So if I spoke to you yesterday, I'm looking forward to see right? Right here is my perspective on the angle, right? We're looking, I touched on this the other day. We're looking from our own perspective of that angle. And there is shadow here and shadow here. There can be, because there's the love and the fear, or the fear of love, of everything. It's in everything. Unconditional love. Okay. So where we're getting to is, if we're going into the 5, which we are on many levels, that if we are looking at from purely our own perspective, from the fear of fear, so from the survival ego. Is this making sense? Not yet? Maybe? Survival ego. So we're looking into the world and we're veiled because there's shadow, there's conditions, there's encodings, there's our habitual patterns. Our nervous system may be twinging and twanging all over the shop, right? 5 is the intersection, or the interface to the body, the physical body, okay? Nervous system. Why did Spirit show me that I have to come back and teach and bring into the world in a different way the trauma work? I spent 20 years as a trauma therapist, and I moved out of it, and I was shown 2 years ago to come back in. It needs to be shared. A year ago, I brought in Regulate to Elevate, right? And then into Cloud Odyssey, right? This year is 5. Nervous system, the interface into the body. 7. And so this isn't a one-off, right? I'm going to keep talking about this. You can ask questions and whatnot as we go along through the year. I'm here first 3 Tuesdays of every month. If you want to come and play. Where was I going with that? So we have our own perspective, but 7 is also the mind field. It's not just the field of the individual, it's the field of the collective. So what's happening in the world, stay with me, and you can watch this over and over and whatnot. What's happening in the world, the mind field is infiltrating, or has the capacity to, through that field. I haven't brought in the 9 yet. 2025, so 2025, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Is a 9 year. You see that? It's a 9 year. What's 9? I just showed you. I know this is a mess. It's way up here. It's outside of the body. It's the subtle plane, the other shore, or what we call home. Expansion from here into, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the spiritual ego, what I call the spiritual ego. Okay? Survival ego, spiritual ego is the human experience, but from here is more the physical. The numbers, all the numbers are within the 1, within the 0 of the 10, right? But we have all of it. How we utilize it and understand it, this is what came in this morning, was, it's the 7th. So we have the year number 9, which I'll touch on, but I think we'll come back and do more on the 9. And those in the inner circle, I've already touched on 9 for you the other day. But, you know, it is part of the completion cycle, right? What we're completing this year. And we're going into the 1 in 2026, right? So what needs to be completed? But also it's the expansiveness into, okay, right? From here, it's the spiritual realms. So what are you taking from your true identity? What are you choosing to expand? You have a choice. You have a choice. You have your individual numbers, what number you're in, and again, those in inner circle, I've done your numbers, so we can have a chat about that as we go along. But how your individual numbers, so today we're in number 7. Some of you might be in 6, some of you in 8, but in this part of the world, it's number 7, right? We're number 7 in a 9 year, but the year will expand out as we go through the months. So the vibrational frequency or or core aspects of the 9 will flow and unfold as we move through it. We always, well, I never say always, but we often, how about that? We often feel what's coming before it hits. Those of you that have been in the community for a while, you know that I feel the moon at least 2 to 3 days before it comes on. Some of you will feel it a couple of days after it's come on, right? So what's happening with the moon cycles? What's happening with the weather cycles? I've been saying for 3 days, there's a shift, there's a shift, there's a shift. I don't care what the weather people are saying. I feel it. I'm connected to this ecosystem, this weather system, right? What clouds are here? You know, what atmospheric pressure is going on in this environment, right? We can look at our experience in the world in so many different ways. And this is just another one or another or a few, because I'm sort of talking about a few sort of mixed together here. So let me bring that back. So we've got the numbers of 20, 25 are 5 for the obvious, 4 to 5, right? Then we've got the 7, the 2 and the 5 make a 7. So that's sort of like an individual number. And then we've got the whole year number, which is the 9. And then we can add in how our personal number navigates as we move through. This is not astrology, astronomy. I'm not making predictions, right? I'm not saying you have to know this. I'm saying if you're interested and you may want another perspective to be able to see a fuller version of the information that you're in, so that you can navigate your identity, your Satnam, your mindful awareness, your, what else do we call it? Your general state, you know, of consciousness. The part that doesn't technically die and is never born. Do you know that part of yourself? And it's not even a part, it's the whole. But what's the center of that whole? True identity, right? Is it making a little more sense? It's not supposed to be, oh yeah, I get that. Because when I'm speaking on multiple dimensions, multiple perspectives. If I drew this in another way, oh, let's go. You ready? If I drew this in another way, I could go, it looks like this. Oh, what? Okay. I could draw it clearer like this, you know, heaven and earth, which in the energy understanding that I share, as we rise in our awareness, they start to merge, and then they become what some people might call the Merkaba, or that light vehicle, right? I don't get caught up on these names. I have a relationship with the energy, okay? This is within us. This is within us. But it doesn't just look like that. That's only 2D. So everything that I'm drawing is not two-dimensional. Do you understand? So if you're feeling like this woman's lost her mind, or maybe I found it. Maybe I'm feeling into the mind field. So let's go into the mind field, 7. And I was getting to the 9, right? The subtle energy of the 9, the most subtle because then it goes into the 10. And yes, in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the 12, right? But there's the 10 spiritual bodies. Then we go into the 11 and 12. So I'll talk about that another day. But if we've got like a spirit coming in to body, number one, and then at 9, it's sort of going out, right? It's expansiveness on one level, okay? So just got to, I'm listening. I'm listening, and I'm like, I just lost what just came in, but it was the 7. Oh, the perspective, what you're seeing, the expansiveness of that. So, which goes to the 5, right? Which is at that crossover point, the bridge between heaven and earth, the bridge between your physical and other energy, right? The nervous system is the interface. This is why we do, you know, those of you that are interested, we have the Cloud Odyssey program, right? It's a 6-month deep dive into your personal experiences so that you can feel and sense and know directly what's going on with the physical. Because, oh, here we go. I found it, don't worry. I heard it again. That the 9, because it's such a subtle energy and it can move through anything, that many of you, and this is what I was woken up with, right? That there was all this extra information coming in that woke me. And when I looked around, I saw it, right? Because that's part of my seeing, right? And I was like, oh, interesting. And went back to sleep because I don't get caught up in all of that, right? We can, and I do teach about that, but personally, I look at the mystical truth of what comes in. Okay, so many of you, and I know on Insta you can't really see what I'm drawing, but many of you may be feeling overwhelmed by information. You're getting more and more sensitive. This is part of the course of life, you know, for many years, and will be ongoingly as we have conscious evolution of our species. Right? It's the conscious evolution of the human as a species. And so as we're rising, we're becoming more open or more, I just made up a word in my head, infiltratedness, like we're infiltrated more and more because of that subtle energy in the field. And humanity is going into the number 9 this year, but it's always there, but it's more prominent this year, that energy, right? So there's more and more subtle energy, subtle information coming through to you, and that can be disturbing for many of you because it's not your information. And I can tell you, I'll tell you a story. All right, I'll tell you a story. Shh, I'll tell you, it's fine. Okay, when I was a kid, growing up, I've told this story before in different ways, but it's like, it's what I'm talking about. Picking up all this data, all this information, and not having people around you that could understand it, or maybe it scared them. Okay, and feeling it in my body and thinking that there's something wrong with me because I'm feeling so much in my body, that it could be aches and pains and sleep, you know, all this sort of stuff. And there was never anything wrong with me until there was. And then I was in a coma and I had my death experience. And that's probably why I'm a little bit, you know, different in the way that I see and sense and know and whatnot. But it was even before that. The feeling other people's pain and suffering. But as a child, I didn't know that. As an adult, I became a medical intuitive because of that. Because I could feel what you were feeling. And some of you may go, oh, I love that. It's just like smelling energy. There's a lot of not so nice smells that you wish you didn't have to, like, because it's energy, not necessarily what's here in the, just, do you get what I mean? So when you can smell illness or smell, you know, yeah, you smell, you get the picture. Okay. So when you feel that too, so there's all this information. It's not to judge it great or not great, good or not good, love or fear. It just is. It just is. Yeah. You're all of it. But it's how we are conditioned, how we understand the information that's coming in. So I better start wrapping this up because we've got to go over to the inner circle. I guess the point here is the point. I'm having fun today. The point, okay? So let's just focus on that 5. The intersection to the body, which is the nervous system, the communication and connection, the bridging between one aspect and another. I have talked about, but I'll touch on it a little bit here, the ability to invert information. And so we've seen that, and maybe you've seen it more personally, but we've seen it around the world in politics, in religious stuff, in, oh, you know, where life is one way and then whoop, it inverts. Now, that could create a lot of unknown, yeah? Like life as you knew it, la, 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 skipping along with your lunch pail. And then the next thing, whoop, where am I? Who am I? What am I? Why am I? Where am I? On some level. And some of you, if you have a death, going through the death alchemy, that is like you are no longer the who, what, where, how, when, where of who you thought. Okay. The belief systems shift. And if this isn't to bring in fear of fear, right? Fear of fear or fear of love, because love and fear in themselves just are. But when we fear either love or fear, that's what creates our compression and our discomfort and our challenges, or seemingly so, because it depends how you see, what perspective you're seeing from. Because if you can see from the top of the 7, the platform, you have more vantage point to be able to have a clearer view of it all. Yeah. So give me a nod, those of you that I can see, or a thumb or something, if they you with me? Okay. So the last point before we go over to the inner circle, to really get into it, would be going back to identity. So if I can leave you nothing else today, better smile. It is this point of identity. Who am I? Sat Nam. This place of mindful awareness. And if you sat for a moment, closed your eyes or did a one-pointedness, and just sat and noticed the breath for a moment. And you may have all sorts of wonderful meditations and techniques and whatnot. But just to sit with the self in this body and contemplate that identity. Okay, so we'll do more of this shortly, but just to leave you with this. So the point, okay, we'll do it this way. My pen's running out. The point, so we have the 5 in the 0 of the 10, which is all, right? Now, where that 5 is sitting, where that center, where your center is. So I talk about alignment a lot because the energetic work that I do, right? What's in alignment, what's misaligned, right? When that 5 is in the center, that wheel can travel smoothly, yeah, on the axis of life. When that 5 is off center, it's going to be like this, right? Or you could look at it like maybe it is, there's a, you know, that's the wheel. And it's not rolling smoothly and well. You're off center. This is the identity. There's my eraser. So, no, you're not seeing that. I need another black, but we'll go with blue. Maybe we're just meant to be blue today. Okay. Who are you? What's your identity? Can you be in that center, right? In the other work, the other way of looking at it, this is that Satnam, true self, mindful awareness, general, actually it's beyond general consciousness, but let's just say true identity, right? And then around it is all the conditioning growing up, right? Your attachment, your attunement to your primary caregivers, how you were cared for, how you were tended for, how you were nurtured or not. And then out into the world is what this part of you who isn't born and isn't extinguished, the body is, but you are not. Okay. As you, who you are, your identity, not like this will be, oh, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a daughter, I'm a, you know, social worker, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a mystic, I'm a whatever you are, truck driver, I'm a, you know, whatever. Other identities, that's not who you are. That's not this. So how we bring this out into the world, we have to go through this almost like another minefield, isn't it? And negotiating the conditioning and the encoding, which is, you know, inside, you know, the psychology, the adaptive strategies, the protective behaviors, right? The masks you wear, the labels you give, the you know, the trauma, the all of that. These experiences, you need to negotiate. So this part of you is negotiating all this, trying to sort of get through this minefield, and then brings that out into the world. And this is how you behave and interface with other people in the world. So how much of this is something to contemplate? Makes it, which I just got a lovely flash of, you know, how that one, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and onwards. So the 1 can get to the 9. But even when we get to the 3 or the 4, right? Walking through our world. We're walking through our world. These numbers aren't just, you know, hanging on the wall. They're experiences. They're parts of our spiritual bodies. And as we are coming into this, who we are is coming into the physical body, right? Soul into body, soul body, 1. And we start to take that step 2 into the 3, into the 4. So we go soul, body, negative mind, positive mind, neutral mind. Yeah. And we look back. Do you see where you came from? Can you connect? So we spent some time going, you know, in the past going, I exist, and sitting with that meditation and just feeling the existence of what I am. What, number 1, what I am. And it's challenging for many people. Now I'm asking you here, because we're in 5, you know, we're talking about the year, who I am. And so, right, looking back and going, what I am. So many contemplations for you here. You could choose any one of them, and they'd be, I would think, beneficial in the remembering of self. So, am I complete on that? Looking at my notes. So, in this nearly an hour, I've spoken on 4 dot points of my whole page. So, all right, well, I think we'll leave it there. I think it's enough to contemplate for today. And we can, if we choose, keep extending on that. Actually, as I said, the word choose, what I was shown was going back to here, and I will, as I speak, I see more. You have the opportunity, you have the choice to choose what you're sitting in right now. So, more into the number 7, but that minefield, right? Whether you're in a shadow pattern or the fear of fear or the fear of love, and how that is expanded as you move through number 9, the year. Okay. So what are you experiencing that may be challenging, and you have the opportunity to change the other side of it? 5 gives you the opportunity to invert, flip, shift from one total reality to another. So 7, there's so much to these individual numbers, but one of the references to 7 is revenge, for instance. But on the other side is forgiveness, or forgiveness and unforgiveness. So unforgiveness exponentially expanded may be revenge, and that exponentially could be into war or conflicts, expanding conflict. Okay, forgiveness expanded, right? Forgiveness, kindness, compassion, empathy, love, unconditional love, right? Just as an example, whatever that might be for you. But that just seemed like a good one because it was based on 7, forgiveness. Forgiveness or unforgiveness, the karma dharma of each number, or the love and fear of each aspect. So something to contemplate for now. And if you never come back and see me again, I feel that this is a good one to contemplate. What do you want to expand in this year, in this week, in today? What's being expanded? Your headache, your aches, how you emotionally feel. Emotion isn't necessarily the truth. Emotions mixed with thought. So your sensation is more the truth. That's the interface, the nervous system into the body. What are you feeling sensation, sensorial wise? What's the sensation to what's happening? Your organicity, your innate intelligence of your system will give you an answer. Okay? If you need help, reach out to me. That's the core of our one-to-ones, is looking at what's unconscious through the sensation of that interface with external to internal, right? Your expansion and your contraction. What's underneath it? What's the fear of fear or the fear of love that's creating the cascade of thoughts, emotions, memories, visions, and whatnot, right? These are all the core organizers of how a memory is laid down in the human system. The only way you can integrate all of those aspects that are fractured, segmented, right, due to the human capacity to go into a shutdown, a freeze, a push away, all the stress response, basically fight, flight, freeze, feign death, all the F's. Okay, when we slow it down, this is why I call this mindful awareness as well. We slow it down and we can come back to our center, or as close to the center as you're able in this moment. We give the system the capacity to integrate. It wants survival. It wants to live. It wants to expand. And it will. But what is it going to expand? What is it going to raise? So I'm going to leave it there for now. Because there's also how to bring that piece into, it's the reverse, right? Rather than going out and up to the 9, we can bring the 9 into. So this is sort of what I'm talking about. Did that make sense? Coming to the center, coming back into the center, the 9-7-5 rather than the 5-7-9. Bringing it in. Connecting with what's already here, and having a relationship with that part, those aspects, and then choosing from that conscious space what you're going to bring into the world, and then interface through your behavior, because we behave this stuff into the world. All right. On that note, I'll leave it at that. I'll be back next Tuesday, same time, 10 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. And you can always send me a message. I'm not sure where you're watching from. So there's the YouTube channel, there's Rhombus Healing Arts on Facebook, Conscious Evolution and Ascension on Facebook, and a few others that evade me right now, or Cynthia Jane Harrison on Instagram. Send me a message if any of this makes sense or doesn't make sense, or you want a little bit more, or you'd like to see how I can support you in your journey on any of those levels. And until we meet again, may the blessings be. Much love. Okay. So let me just stop these and then we'll see where we are going to go today.